Hey guys, Ryan here. I'm pretty sure you guys have already heard that I was involved in a head-on collision. I am okay. I'm okay, but it was really important to me to present to you guys. Even if I'm not there physically, I wanted to present to you guys my campaign. So for this assignment, I chose to do diabetes and the One Touch Ultra campaign. Um, so if you're not familiar with what diabetes is, I will talk about that. If you're not familiar with what One Touch Ultra is, I will talk about that. If you're not familiar with what their campaign is, I will talk about that. So, here we go. Next slide. What is diabetes? Diabetes is simply the inadequacy of insulin in any person's body. The inadequacy of insulin can cause your blood glucose, also known as your blood sugar, to increase drastically, and it in turn can cause high blood pressure. So when you're monitoring your blood sugar, it allows you to know when to take your dosage of insulin and regulate your body's levels. Next slide. History. Home blood testing devices have only existed for 30 years. So for the sake of campaigning and the progression from old campaigning and old PR to new PR, there really isn't any. They've just started using campaigns and things to draw awareness. Um, the first blood glucose meter was issued September 14th, 1971 by Charles A. Southern. This was a pivotal moment in diabetes development, any sort of testing. It allowed people to test their blood sugar without having to go through blood work. It was solely a meter, so you didn't have to wait for blood work to come back days later. Initially, sales depended upon, or sales of the meters depended solely upon a reference or a prescription, word of mouth from a doctor. Until 1986, Johnson & Johnson developed a company called LifeScan. This LifeScan, or this portion of Johnson & Johnson, definitely became one of many, or one major powerhouse in the home blood testing industry. Next slide. What is One Touch Ultra? One Touch Ultra is a blood glucose monitoring device for people with diabetes. Pretty self-explanatory. The only difference between One Touch Ultra and other companies is One Touch Ultra really is one touch. Usually, you prick your finger with a pin, squeeze the blood onto a pallet, and then it is tested through a meter. But in One Touch, there's the meter and a small pallet at the end. You push down, it pricks your finger, and everything's done in one swipe. The reason why it's called One Touch Ultra. Next slide. Initially, when LifeScan issued their blood testing devices, their whole thing was improving the quality of life. There was no drawing awareness. This was solely for people with diabetes. It wasn't about finding a cure. It wasn't about anything to draw awareness to the people who didn't even have diabetes. Um, but that slowly transitioned because even today, more than 5 million people in the U.S. depend on LifeScan's One Touch Ultra brand systems. So even if you aren't one with diabetes, someone in your family is depending on it. Next slide. Now, they are all about the quality of life, um, providing monetary and product support, and more than anything, increase awareness by teaching people with diabetes and their family members that don't have diabetes the complications and how they can reduce them. And that typically starts by using your meter, which is an over-the-counter product that you can clearly buy at any CVS, any Rite Aid. Next slide. Notable campaigns. There was a One Touch campaign developed in 2001 that is still airing, actually, even today. Um, you can catch the commercials on select stations. It's not as frequent as it used to be, but they still do air. The most notable is BB King. BB King has had diabetes for 10 years, and he teamed up with One Touch Ultra to describe how blue is tied to this disease. You feel blue, you feel sad when you're dealing with type 1 diabetes or whatever diabetes you're dealing with. So, I'm going to show you two commercials, one of which is with BB King and the other is with another young lady who plays an instrument also. Uh, she has diabetes just like BB King. They teamed up to play music for us. So, here we go. I hope you guys enjoy the videos. So, another notable portion of the campaign will be Patti LaBelle. She's actually had diabetes for 12 plus years. Um, she described how one time she collapsed on stage and discovered she had diabetes. That was her breaking point. She uses One Touch Ultra 2, which is a slightly more advanced machine. I feel that One Touch Ultra, and here, next slide, there are pictures I wanted to show you guys. An excellent ad. Um, by One Touch Ultra teaming up with celebrities, it allowed the public to see that, hey, this is just not something the average Joe deals with. Even celebrities deal with it. And I feel like that was definitely a powerful thing and a very useful tactic. Because diabetes tackles the minority community, Latinos and African Americans predominantly. And finally, the last ad I wanted to show was Jose Feliciano. He is another musician. They tackle the music industry for their campaign, which I love, with me being a musician myself. But all in all, One Touch Ultra and these celebrities teamed up together to show, like, it's not just something that regular people deal with, it's something that everyone deals with. So, that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.